Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today with the Season 3 Reloaded update, we got access to a brand new weapon in the BAL-27. Yes, an iconic weapon from Call of Duty's history. This was originally a rifle back in Advanced Warfare, and it is back here in Season 3 Reloaded as a brand new rifle. And in order to actually unlock this, it's going to be a little bit different from some of our recent mid-season weapons. Instead of it being a weekly challenge or anything, it's actually directly available through the Battle Pass through this new classified sector that's, well, no longer classified. But in order to actually get this from the sector, you first have to go through and complete these first four initial challenges, and then you go through, you get the last challenge for the BAL. So it's honestly pretty straightforward. It took me one game to actually unlock it, so if you're really efficient, you can get this. The first challenge is to get 5 operator headshot or special zombie critical kills with assault rifles. If you're doing this in multiplayer, 5 headshots, pretty straightforward. The second one, get 10 operator or special zombies kills while moving with assault rifles. You're going to get that at the same time you're getting the headshots done. Get 10 operator or zombie special hip fire kills with assault rifles. You'll probably get the moving and hip fire done at the same time too if you're doing that. Then lastly, get 10 operator or special zombie tac stance kills with assault rifles. Again, the moving one kind of crosses over to that one too, and the headshots you could get while you're doing all of that. Those are super straightforward. After you do those 4, you then gain access to the BAL-27 sector, which is to get 15 operator or special zombie kills while aiming down sights with rifles. That's just basic 15 kills, right? So you can get this done incredibly quickly, and then you'll gain access to the BAL-27. I've gone through, I've max leveled it, tested out a couple of different builds, and definitely found what I enjoy the most for multiplayer and for Warzone as well. So we'll break down the setups. As we are getting into the setups, by the way, if you are new to the channel, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. It's all right here, so feel free to hit that subscribe button. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date. And if you enjoy this video or if you find it helpful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. It is always really appreciated. So on the multiplayer side, this honestly is like a decent rifle. I felt like it seems to have decent damage, especially as a more aggressive player in the close range and the mid range. It was holding its own pretty nicely here. Setup is going to be pretty straightforward. The only thing that I'm a little bit torn with for multiplayer is the magazine size. It's either the default 30 or it's the upgraded 60, and there's no in between. Now right now as I'm recording this, there's this whole bug with reloading going on in your tac sprint, so for that reason 60 could actually be really beneficial right at this moment. Obviously it's going to slow you down some for multiplayer, so that's maybe something to consider, but I'll talk more on this in just a second. Initially I do go for the ZEM35 compensator here. Shorter radar ping gives you some decent control stats here, not hurting your velo too much. Like 839 is totally sufficient for multiplayer, of course. I also go for the Crown H3 barrel. This is going to hurt your tac stance spread and your sprint to fire, but that's it. You're actually going to get better strafe and base movement speed out of this, and then even better range and velocity, so it's going to be a lot more versatile, I guess, just across the board here. We got the DR6 hand stop just for multiplayer. I like to be speedy and aggressive, so better movement, strafe, ADS, and sprint to fire. I also go for the Ardent tac stock. This helps out with firing control, better gun kick, a little bit of recoil, and then really it's just like minimal movement penalties here. A little bit of sprint speed, a little bit of sprint to fire. Not really a huge deal, all things considered. And then lastly, I was messing around with the Channel M grip. Better control for very minimal cons. Usually this kind of rear grip would hurt your idle swipe, but for whatever reason it doesn't here. A little bit on your ADS speed, and then tac stance and hip fire, which isn't a huge deal. That said, if you did want to run that 60 round mag, you could drop this rear grip and put that on instead, and I think that'd be pretty viable. But this thing is relatively easy to use, and for a rifle it's pretty straightforward and fast as well. You can see the recoil, it's not too jumpy, nothing too extreme there, and you can get out to the mid-range and still be pretty accurate as well with all the dummies here. Even out to the furthest one, it's not going to be too difficult. The first 4 bullets, though, do keep in mind, fire a tad bit slower, so you can tap fire and it'll be a little bit more accurate as opposed to holding down and it starts to fire a little bit faster. That's something to take note of with that 30-round mag, too. The longer you're spraying and praying, the faster your bullets are going to end up coming out after those first 4, so you'll burn through that ammo a little bit quicker. Now, on the Warzone side of things, bit of a different setup here, just to, again, sort of promote some versatility with this. I don't think this is a gun that is definitively grade A close range or grade A mid range or grade A long range. It's kind of a pick your fights with it, and it's going to be pretty consistent across the board. I envision this more as a mid-range based rifle just because of how this behaves with its control and whatnot and its fire rate over long distances. In terms of its damage, Over long range, obviously, when you do have that faster fire rate, your TTK will dwindle because the control is going to be a little bit more sporadic there as opposed to like in the close range and mid range here. But this is what I found worked nice for a more aggressive play style here. I do jump up to the Cassis break just to focus solely on that horizontal control and the firing aim stability here. If you wanted to use the suppressor, I'd be pretty much always going for Spirit Fire. That would be viable too if you really care about staying off the radar, of course. I go for the angled underbarrel here. This again is going to keep it a tad bit more aggressive. It's going to help out with that horizontal control, and it's not going to hurt anything else outside of vertical. Whereas Bruin here, yes, you'll get that horizontal control, but it's also going to hurt your ADS a little bit more, your vertical as well, so it'll be a little bit slower. You could go either or here for a more range-based build, though. It just depends on your level of comfortability with the gun, in all honesty. We are also using the Crown H3 barrel here. There are some interesting choices, like you can get some better velocity out of the Prowl as well, and it also is going to keep you off the radar, but you'll notice it ends up hurting your control, even though that's not a con here. It says it's supposed to attack sprint to fire and hip fire spread, but in reality, it actually hurts your sprint to fire and your hip fire as mentioned, but then kills your horizontal control. So that's a no-go. The comp barrel here hurts your control, hurts your velocity, hurts your ADS. That's not really ideal, even for some close range, even though it's supposed to be a control-based barrel, right? Then, of course, simply straight-up control is all right, but we like to have the better velocity if we can, especially now that Ace and True Game Data have done more testing there. Then the prime barrel hurting your velo, that's a no-go. So the Crown H3 is by far and away the go-to option here for Warzone, without a doubt. I am still sticking with the Ardent tack stock on here. I like this feel with that good control, minimal cons across the board. And then, of course, we are going for that 60-round mag yet again. This, like the other build, is going to be very easy, very consistent, and especially with like clean iron sights, when you're in the mid-range here, it's going to be really easy to stay on target, especially as you tap fire more. Something to take note of too, like on this last dummy, for instance, if you tap fire, you're going to be able to, especially if you count those 1, 2, 3, 4 shots, it'll be really easy to stay on target over range there. I know not everyone is going to be a fan of the iron sights though, and something to take note with this is that there is a brand new optic that this introduces called the AW Gen 1 optic. Very similar. For instance, I'm just going to take the 60-round mag off to show you guys in game. If you remember from Advanced Warfare, this is one of the dot sights that we had back in the day. It's not crazy in any way, shape, or form. It's relatively similar to like a other basic dot sight. The zoom is decent on it though, and it does actually show you your ammo count. So that's a cool thing that this has that other optics won't. It's a preference thing. If you want to swap this out for one of those other attachments and see if you're maybe a little bit more accurate with the scope on here, that's a cool one that I'd recommend, so that we now have that sort of in the optic meta, if you will, there. But overall, BAL-27 seems pretty reliable across the board. I mean, rifles, it's going to be a competitive option for sure, just because of its versatility here, a bit more aggressive, and obviously it's an icon, so they're not going to make it completely obsolete, right? But as it stands right now, those are the best setups for multiplayer and Warzone when it comes to the BAL, the easiest ways to unlock it as well. If you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. It's always really appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.